You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Well, hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're with us and just dealing with a couple technical things this morning. As usual, that keeps me on my toes. As soon as you wake up, you run in the shower, you do your studying in the morning and things that you got to do to get ready, and all in an hour. And then you hop on and you turn on about 80 million different devices and you make sure that they all work and you set things up, and then you're live, ready to go and talk about all of the news stories that are affecting us here in Greater Sudbury and abroad. So thanks for being with us. We're grateful to have you. We're live on CKLU 96.7 FM, also streaming at cklu.ca. You can also take us with you anywhere, anytime by downloading the Radio Player Canada app on the website. And while you're there, make sure to support the station by making a donation that we really appreciate to keep the lights on, keep the airwaves open, and pay the bills. We really appreciate you for all you do for CKLU. It is your station. And here we have your conversation on your station. So make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow, and our social medias, which we're live streaming on, which is facebook.com/Sudbury News and youtube.com/Sudbury News. I'll also comment, because that's how we have a conversation. Because if it wasn't for you, we really wouldn't have a show. This show is for you. I'm facilitating a conversation and trying to share some important information about not only our community, but the world around us, and make sense of things. It's not easy to do, but we do our best. Not sure what's going on here. So let me refresh the page possibly. And so Wolves were in action last night. First home game of the second round of playoffs against the North Bay Battalion, in which they were down 2-0 coming into the game. It was a must win, because if they didn't win, they'd be down 3-0. And good luck getting out of that conundrum. So your Sudbury Wolves were in action last night. We'll check in and see how they did. And if you are a sports fan, you already know how they did. But let's just dive right in. We got Justin Trudeau introduced a new halal mortgage for our Muslim friends here in Canada, and while making it impossible for any other non-citizen to buy a house for the next 2 years. So that's an interesting kind of thing that came out of the budget yesterday. We'll talk about that. Talk about the new announcement that, we had consensus amongst our fearless leaders in City Council. They are all in favor of a new arena downtown. So who would have thought? So unanimous decision for City Council to build a new arena downtown Sudbury. That's what we're going to be seeing coming up in the next little while. So then we'll talk about speed cameras as well. Seems like a lot of people don't really like the speed cameras that we have, and some of them have gone missing, others vandalized, and but the city says no, this is a good thing, and we're going to keep it going. And maybe it's there to pay for the new arena, because we don't have the money for it. So we'll have to check in more on that and see if that's indeed the reason for the speed cameras. They say it's for our safety, but they haven't given us really any stats to show that it is going to make anything any safer in terms of accidents or casualties or injuries, anything like that. We don't have any numbers, so we don't know how unsafe our streets are to begin with to know if they're going to be safe with these speed cameras, but we do know it's going to make millions of dollars. So that's the one thing we do know, and we do know we need money to build a new arena, which I actually will be happy to have. I think if you were to look at my Christmas wish list, on there would be a new arena for the city of Sudbury. But how we get there needs to be done in a ethical way, I would think, in a fiscally responsible way. And and I think we could do that if we really were able to do that. You know, if everyone wanted to do that, we could do that. But anyways, let's dive in with a little bit of weather. We'll be back with a little sports update, local headlines, your comments. It's going to be a great show. Lots to talk about. Stay tuned. We'll be right here, right after this. And your Sudbury weather, as usual, is brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Currently, it's -1. It's feeling a little cooler than usual. It's mostly cloudy, but it feels like -8. And today, becoming cloudy this morning. Then periods of rain. 5 millimeters is expected, and wind will be gusting up to 40 kilometers an hour. High of 6. Tonight, periods of rain, amount of 10 to 15 millimeters. So they're looking at quite a bit of rain. The ground is still kind of absorbing that last huge rain we had. So we'll see how this goes today. Thursday, so tomorrow, cloudy, 40% chance of showers, with the winds pretty moderate, and high of 12 late in the morning. So no, high of 12 tomorrow. So usually they don't give you what the high is the next day on that segment. But anyways, so chance of showers, high of 12, 40% chance of showers Thursday, 40% chance of showers Friday, high of 10, 30% chance of rain or flurries on Saturday with a high of 5. And then Sunday, Monday now, forecast to be sunny, high of 10, high of 13, and then cloudy on Tuesday. Look at your your satellite, which doesn't look too nice if you don't like clouds and precipitation. As you can see, the Great Lakes lately has had a lot of activity in terms of clouds and rain. Just seems like there's a swirling of, precipitation and cloud cover just around the Great Lakes constantly for the last 2 weeks or so. Interesting weather. Anyways, a lot of clouds. So that is your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with a little sports update for you, how the Wolves did last night, and your comments on the day that was and is afterwards, trying to make sense of our world that we live in. And we'll go through news headlines. We'll deep dive into the new arena announcement that all council members are on board for, speed trap cameras, and then maybe even a little deep dive into halal mortgages from Justin Trudeau. And that's what they make decisions for us, and that's a decision they've made for us, and that's one of many. So we'll talk about that one that's brand new. It's always colorful policies and things coming out of Ottawa. So we'll talk about that and more right after this. Yeah, and the Sudbury Wolves last night, North Bay Battalion, they were up 3-2 after the first period. The Sudbury Wolves were. It was a tight game. Looked good. The battalion had 7 shots on net. By the end of the second period, the Wolves had 27 shots on net, and the battalion never had a shot on net the whole second period. Wolves were up 5-2 by the end of the second period. Things look like, okay, good. We're going to be 2-1 in this series. Next game, Thursday, anything can happen. We can tie it up going back into North Bay. But no, that's not what happened. North Bay stormed back with all guns ablazing, and they were able to tie it up in the third period. They just came out and scored 3 goals. tied it up, went into overtime, and guess who scored? North Bay. So North Bay won that game 6-5 in overtime. Sudbury Wolves are down 3-0 in that series. It's pretty much that North Bay team, hot goalie, and we even had our Jakob Vondras in net. He was out with an injury as far as I know, and he wasn't there for the first two games of the series. So we thought, oh, maybe it's our goalie, and and this is the reason why we're getting back into it and going to win this game 3, but did not happen. So the Sudbury Wolves go back at it here at home Thursday against North Bay. Game 4, when they're down 3-0, they'll definitely need all the help they can get. So you'll want to get out there and cheer them on. Not sure. I'm just not sure. There's no answers. There's nothing that you can say. It just looks like two different Sudbury Wolves teams. Sometimes the Sudbury Wolves team comes out and they dominate, and some days they come out and they're dominated. There was just no consistency with it. So it's kind of happened all season long, and it's reared its ugly head in the second round of the playoffs. It also did it in the first round, but we made it through. If that Sudbury Wolves team was able to come out for 4 games, the dominating one, they could actually come back. They could, if that team showed up every night. But we're not sure. It's it's a Sudbury mystery. But that's your Sudbury Sports, brought to you by SudburySports.ca. We'll be back with your news headlines, comments, and much more right after this. Okay, and we are back, and we have quite a few people joining us. Maybe there's something happening again where there's a change in the algorithm. For a while there, it was governing us back, and we were up to like 45 people on pretty early on in the show. Yesterday, we had 30, so maybe we're creeping back up again. Maybe we get shadow banned or something, and then we come back, and who knows what goes on behind the scenes. It's kind of like a communist socialist platform. Facebook is, right? They just kind of do things. They make policies that you don't really understand, and you do things against something you didn't know what you did against, then they punish you with something you don't know they're even punishing you with, and then all of a sudden things change and things are better, but it is what it is. Let's see. Who do we have on so far today? Just want to check in with everybody as we will cover speed cameras and how the city is going to dig in their heels and keep them going no matter what people from Sudbury are doing or saying. Also, they're going ahead with the arena downtown no matter what people of Sudbury are doing or saying. So it's interesting. We can see it is a form of leadership, just going ahead and doing things. So there is some form of leadership there because we also complain when things don't get done. So it's a rock and a hard place. But good morning, Nancy on YouTube. Hope your day is great, and I hope yours is too. Monique, good morning. Monique, smiley emoji, much appreciated. Judy on Facebook, good morning. Thanks for being with us. David, good morning. Take care. Stay safe. You as well. Belinda, good morning. Positive statement of the day. The worst form of inequality is to make unequal things appear equal. Sums up all forms of government, correct? And that's the equity they talk about, right? Equity is a term that's used that's supposed to sound like equality, but it's not equality, really. Equity means to suppress one side to allow another side to flourish. And once you start doing that, you're changing the game. And once you start putting your fingers in things, trying to make things equitable in a way of having a quality of outcome, a quality of outcome says we want, so many of each particular group in jobs and positions. So we want every board of directors to have one person from every culture, every religion, every sexual orientation, every gender on their boards, and we're gonna change all the laws to make that happen. And when you try forcing something like that, it never ends up in a good way. But what does end up in a good way is making it equal for everyone to have an opportunity to get to those positions. So making education in reach for people so that they can have the education. Just make the playing field equal so that way the best of the best, if you do good at something, then you can get the job. You can flourish. But if you start making laws and policies and things to stop a certain group of people from doing it so that way it makes room for others, it's just never a good thing. But yeah, so that's your, and that's who's behind a lot of these policies and changing of laws. And it is the government, right, to do these things. It just never ends up good. And Alan, good morning. Thanks for being with us in Sudbury. Okay, I wonder if he did that on purpose. In Sudbury. I've never heard that before. If that's on purpose, that's pretty unique and cool. So good morning, Alan. Maurice, good morning. Smiley emoji. Sheila, good morning. Canada flag emoji. Love it. Leond, good morning, by the way. How many other countries tax their citizens and sent the money, and then send the money over to us? How about zero? How about 0 countries do that? Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon, as well as, why this whole equity thing here. And people are going, what are you talking about? The equity is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I was taught by my Marxist professors in university that it's the only way to go, and we're suppressed by the patriarchy and colonization and evil kind of systems that have been in place that have been just tearing apart society for years, and we have to rise up against it. Yeah, I know you've been taught that, but it's a flawed theology. It's a flawed precept of thought, and in many ways, Marxism is man-made theology. It's basically like a religion, if you will, because there's doctrine that goes along with it. Karl Marx, which isn't even his real name, and his compañero developed a manifesto called the Communist Manifesto, and it's basically a blueprint for what our society, the new society, our universities and places of education, they've been doing it since the 50s, really, and it's been getting stronger and stronger. So all the people that have graduated from that, basically brainwashed or taught, it depends on which word you want to use, were taught indoctrinated in this indoctrination. And now it's really rampant in our world, and people in leadership positions have all been taught these things, and they go ahead and try and force it on our citizens. And so you find the way we're governing our North America, which is also designed as a way to take down, it's a war tactic as well, to take down a country or countries that were strong and dominating the world. And so we become weakened by this type of thought, and thinking that we're strong and thinking that we're woke and thinking that we're all these virtuous things. Meanwhile, it's weakening society to the point where the ones that have implemented this will then say, thank you very much. We're now taking over. If you need any details on that, you can drop me an email and say, you said a little thing about how Marxism and that is as a ploy by conspiring groups and factions to take down Western society. Can you explain that a little bit more to me? And you can drop me an email or message me on Facebook Messenger. I'll be happy to entertain your questions on that. It's just something that we don't have enough time for in the show to go into all the details to explain to somebody who maybe has been hearing this for the first time, this concept, but it is what's happening. It's been my experience just having graduated recently from university and currently just ready to graduate or obtain my master's in business. Education systems that we have in our Western society are very much been infiltrated and hijacked, and they teach this philosophy to people, and it's a theory. It's like they used to teach creationism, and then people got upset saying that's a theory. Why do you teach it? And then they taught the theory of evolution instead. So it's a theory. So they just adopt one theory over another, teach it as truth, and then Bob's your uncle, right? So they're all theories. It's all university teaches. Basically, leaves one wondering, what are the facts? You think you go to school to learn facts and learn cold, hard, time-tested and true things. But no, it's not like that at all. So Belinda also saying all of the money that has been spent on pondering where to put this structure, including hiring consultants. Oh, this is about the arena downtown, was just a facade, because I believe the intent was always to keep it downtown. How much of our taxpayers' money was squandered on this debacle? True. So all the money that was spent in the first place before they had the vote on whether the arena should go downtown or on the Kingsway, all that money, and then all the money that was spent while they were trying to get it built on the Kingsway, all the money that's going to be spent before we get shovels in the ground for this particular arena. So at the end of the day, if we tally up all of the costs for this arena, after we just as a city just can't really get it done, it'll be interesting to see. So thanks for that. And Miles, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us. Marianne, good morning. Everyone from Barrie liked and shared. As usual, thank you so much, Marianne. Debbie, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Denise says, children are suffering physically, mentally, emotionally, in every way. What we see in society, they're not just adults, they're parents. And when parents suffer, their children suffer. I can't believe they wouldn't build homes and help people first. That's probably in relation to the arena as well, and where we're putting our money, I would think. And Miles says, not agreeing with all the cameras either, but the vandalism is not appreciated. Okay. Interesting. So there's two sides of it there, right? If you don't agree with the cameras, but it's put there anyways, and then people show their discontent, and if you live in a democratic world and whatever, it should be that everybody in a society kind of agrees on a system that they all buy into and want, right? But the cameras don't seem to be part of that. They seem to be polarized. Like there's, I think 65-35 or 70-30. It's around there. 65% are against these cameras, and 35, and that's a high number. But that's what I've been able to see. So 35% of people are in agreement with it. 65 aren't. And so what happens? Like, why are they there then? If you're really in a democratic society, I thought democracy was, the majority of people, when they agree with something, then it goes ahead, right? It doesn't always work either. Like, it's not always the greatest system, because if everyone agrees in a flawed thing and you go ahead with it, it's not best for society, but it's democracy. That's the way it works. So either you have democracy or you don't. You can't blow and suck at the same time. And so I would say, people, what are they going to do if something's being done against their will, against what they agree with in their society, and what rights do they have? It's very controversial to have cameras taking pictures of your license plates constantly. Where's that information going? Who's got that data? We're told it's fine, but how many data breaches are everywhere all the time? The city just got ripped off $1.5 million. Someone just came in and said, no, I'm the contractor, and the $1.5 million was sent to them. So the city could probably say, oh yeah, all of our financial dealings are all secure too, but that happened. So they're telling us all this data is secure, but do we believe that? Really, right? So what? There comes a time when people only have so many opportunities to voice their opinions. And how do you do that? They weren't given a chance to with these cameras. They should have had a referendum on them in the city. They should have shown all the stats of how unsafe our streets were and then asked people to weigh in on it. But they didn't. Sheila, why was the housing incentive that he announced yesterday not for all ethnicities? Why is he dividing the people? Seems to be that's what he does on a regular basis. And so they have the new halal mortgage for a certain group of people. And other people are told that they can't invest in housing if they're not Canadian citizens. So for 2 years, I mean, that's their way of dealing with things. And they're the ones in power right now. They're the ones who are put in by China, apparently, to govern us, according to the latest from sources that say our elections were interfered with, and Justin Trudeau knew this. And so by all accounts, the election wasn't fair, and you can say they influenced. So China basically put him in, and now he's making all these decisions for the last 8 years. And so is that democratic? Doesn't sound too democratic to me. But these are the laws and things that are being made by the person that arguably wasn't even voted in, and then formed a coalition with another group of people that weren't voted in even more. And together they run the country, and even with the Bloc Québécois. So you can say the three of them. And throw in the Greens and whatever. They're all kind of running the country and getting what they want as long as they vote with Justin Trudeau. It's a schmozzle. It's really not. It's really not democracy. It's really not. If you really look at all the details, if our Prime Minister was put into office through manipulation from foreign entities, mainly China in this case, is that democracy? Really? And the guy's been there for 8 years making all these decisions that have been impacting us. And have they been impacting us in a positive way? That's up to you to decide. If you think the last 8 years have been the best years of your life, due to, in terms of how the government has been running the country, well, then that's great. That's why I asked that question. Then it's good for you. Then we should have China just come over and put in their government here if you like that. And that's probably their plan. That is their plan, actually, if you read their documents, their military documents. So that's why it's kind of worrisome that they've installed our prime minister, the one they have, who said publicly that he admires the Chinese government because of it's communist, basically, in the way they're able to get things done quick. The installation, not smart, though, as they should have elevated the cameras to be out of reach. That's Miles. We can have all the cameras we want. Our system between police and the courts is a mess. Yeah, exactly, right? If you go to fight your ticket, I don't know. It's all a schmozzle. I'm starting to just kind of get tired of talking about it. Marianne, I agree, but are they even listening to the people? No. I guess it's their way of telling them no, which I understand also. Although it isn't right, it's a double-edged sword. Correct. Cameras are BS. That's Debbie. I believe they may have done this on purpose. And good day, Monique. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. So if the town hall is not listening to citizens, then what is the purpose of the town hall? You got it right there. So thanks, Denise, for that. Jungle Jim on here. Good morning, Jungle Jim. North Bay gets a short-handed breakaway goal in the third, and then with 3 minutes left, they get 2 power play goals. North Bay finishes it in overtime. Brutal, yeah, for sure. It was hard to watch that, actually. Denise says, money-hungry handlers, and Bob's and Ob, good morning. Yes, I am here today. Oh, and Billy's not here. That's interesting. Oh, cool. Thanks for joining us, Bob. Sheila, people should look around. Many cameras, surveillance in malls, car parks, traffic lights, crosswalks. Start looking up. Yeah, they are everywhere. Cameras. City has cameras everywhere. constantly tracking your every move, and wonder why, if they wanted to talk about where that information goes, what are they doing with it? It's just questions, right? Liette, good morning, everyone, from Collingwood. Thanks for being with us. Denise says, Marianne. Okay, so I'm not able to know when people are chatting with each other. Evelyn, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Much appreciated. And yeah, we are only cattle. Goyim. That's Denise. And also Pat. Good morning, folks. Thanks for being on. So let's dive right into some of the stories. Time is getting away from us already. Terrible that that happens, but just having so much fun with you guys online. Make sure to join us. If you're listening on the radio and you're like, you want to get involved, you can also catch these broadcasts afterwards on demand on facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News, Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X, and Sudbury.news. You click on the Sudbury News Talk tab. The shows will live after, and you can comment still after the show. Keep the conversation going, and we appreciate that. That's what this show is for. Okay, so news headlines here. Speed cameras. We thought we might as well start with that since we're already kind of talking about it. Story from CBC.ca, CBC Sudbury. You can catch all local stories aggregated on Sudbury.news. That's where we found this story from CBC. City of Greater Sudbury says it's not backing down as people destroy speed cameras. The city says there's already evidence drivers are slowing down due to the cameras. I gotta laugh when I hear that. Like really? Like we really gotta come out and say that? Okay, the city says there's already evidence of drivers slowing down due to the cameras. Okay, so if I drive 15 kilometers over a speed limit regularly, like a lot of people just kind of averagely do, I think, and I know there's a speed camera there that's going to give me a whatever ticket for 5 over. Why would I drive 15 kilometers over? It's like saying, you know what? I was trying to tell this guy what to do and he wouldn't do it. But I took this gun that was loaded and I put it to his forehead and I said, I'm going to pull the trigger if you don't do what I say. And you know what? He did it. He did what I said. Yeah, that's like this. Many people notice when they put a gun to someone's head, a loaded gun, that they're able to get people to do what they want. Whatever. Craziness. It's just absolutely insane that you'd say that. That's evidence that it's a good thing, that it's working, that people are slowing down. It's like, duh, of course people are going to slow down. They're going to get a ticket if they don't. Yeah, the actual real story is, how unsafe was that street to begin with? Like, how much more safer are we going to make it, other than for the people out there that already, and God bless them, that they just always go the speed limit 100% of the time. The light turns yellow and 15 minutes before the light, they're already slowing down on the green light, waiting for it to go yellow. They're going the speed limit. For these people, it's bliss. It's great. They're like, yes, everyone can drive like me now. But that's not society. That's not what it is. And I would even argue and put it out there that 30 kilometers in a school zone is a little overkill. Like my car, when you just let it go on its own, goes over 30 kilometers. The transmission in first gear. Like, I have to put my brakes on when the car is just idling in first gear to go that slow. Like that's over the top, and we're moving a lot of our 50s to 40 zones, and then we're moving 40s to 30s, and now the cameras are in, and now you're saying, wow, you know what? It's working. People are slowing down. So it must be good, right? No, that doesn't mean it's good because people are slowing down. It just means people aren't going to get a ticket. And how much more safer At the end of the day, will that road be? When you look at the statistics, that's what we want. We want statistics here because that's what the city does. It collects statistics. It goes out. They spend millions of dollars gathering statistics of how fast people are going on these roads. That's why they have this long list of roads that need these cameras, right? So let's also have how many accidents happened on this road and which months. Now, was there an ice storm that day with glare ice everywhere, and that's why there was accidents? There's a lot to do with data and data collection. Okay, so how unsafe were these streets to begin with before they put cameras out there? That's what we want to know. And after the cameras are done, not just saying, wow, it's a success, people are slowing down. No, that's not an indicator of success. That's just an outcome of the gun to the head, and they're going to do what you say. That doesn't mean it's good. City of Greater Sudbury, this is back to the story, says speed cameras that have been damaged from vandalism will continue to be repaired. On March 22nd, the city installed 6 portable speed cameras, as we know, all around the city, automatically ticketing drivers that are going beyond the speed limit. 2 cameras located in Main Street in Valcarron and on Falconbridge Road have been severely vandalized since they were installed. Since the city installed the cameras, they've inspired strong reactions from residents. True, because they didn't ask for them. That's usually what would inspire a strong reaction. Sudbury President Jay Prazeau created a Facebook group called Sudbury Resident. Well, maybe he's the president of his Facebook page. Jay Prazeau created a Facebook group called Sudbury Speed Cameras that now has more than 1,300 members. I did it as a joke, and I said somebody's going to make this Facebook page. I knew that already. And they're going to put up all the creative ways that people are dressing these speed camera boxes and, or vandalizing them or whatever. They're going to just, make it a thing. He also said, I'm glad that people are getting enjoyment out of the group because everyone needs a bit more fun in their lives. Yeah, might as well make it fun. The group includes a lot of jokes and memes about the cameras, and especially the 2 that have been especially targeted. Perso says that there's a lot of frustration about the cameras. He also goes on to say, speeding is an issue for sure, but with the money being as tight as it is these days, is money as tight as it is these days? Is money tight for people? Do you think money's tight for people these days? Okay, like getting a $40 or $50 ticket for doing 5 over, a lot of people are frustrated because that money can be used for other important things, he said. Now you got people saying, well, to slow down then, don't take a ticket. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, and that's why people are going to slow down and they're not going to get a ticket. But this kind of thing going on, and these people like applauding this type of surveillance on people and this type of policing, it's going to come back to bite you eventually because it just starts here. This is the beginning. It'll come for you. Don't worry about it. Facebook group member Gilles Bizier says the city should be more transparent about their threshold for cameras. Are they going to start ticketing at 5, 4, or 3 over? Nobody knows, he said. Bizier says he believes the cameras are a cash grab, which I believe most people in the city do believe the same thing along with you. 100%. And damage more persistent than anticipated. Wow. So they never anticipated that there'd be this much damage. Well, we anticipated the vandalism of cameras, Joe Rocca says. It's more persistent than I was anticipating. He's the director of Linear Infrastructure Services. So this just goes to show again that the bureaucrats in the city of Sudbury live in a bubble. That building downtown, they should just put a big sphere over it and just show how much of a bubble they do live in, because it's a bubble. They're way out of touch with reality and people. They go to work every day and they just talk amongst themselves, and all graduates of university with Marxist ideologies and say, yeah, this rainbow world with lollipops and unicorns can really exist. And then they don't kind of venture out to see that it actually can't exist. And they implement things that try to make it exist and then find, wait a minute, I'm surprised when we have reactions the way that we do. But he says, but we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep going at it. Rocca says the city's lease agreement with the camera vendors takes repairs into account. Here's Joe Rocca right there. Okay, well, we'll have a picture. Get him up here. He's very proud of the speed cameras that we have these days here in Sudbury. He's the linear infrastructure dude. That's his official title these days. The camera on Falconbridge Road was removed from its spot between Donnelly Drive and Church Street with a tow strap. In an email to CBC News, Greater Sudbury Police spokesperson Caitlin Dunn said the police are investigating the incident. Rocca said most of the camera pieces were located on a nearby street and it's being rebuilt. It's being repaired. And just like any other of them, we're going to keep getting them fixed and keep rolling out this program, he said. Although the city does not yet have data on the number of speeding tickets issued, yeah, you don't have data on much apparently. Although the city does not have data on the number of speeding tickets issued, he said they're already working at deterring drivers from speeding. Again, Captain Obvious on this one. Of course they're deterring drivers from speeding. Like what? You know what I mean? So does that mean it's right? It's a right way to do it? Anyways, before the cameras installed on Falconbridge Road, he said around 88% of the drivers were traveling above the speed limit on that stretch of road. So good. There's some data. I love it. Keep the data rolling here. So out of those speeders on that road, let's see how many accidents we were having. After the camera was installed, he said compliance with the speed limit jumped to 70%. Okay, well, obviously, again, but it's for safety. It's not look, if you're saying the reason for this is just alone to reduce speed, and that's what it sounds like. Look, success. We got them to reduce speed. Okay, that's great. Is that the only metric we're looking at? I thought we were looking at it for safety. Safety is a different thing altogether. Well, speed kills. Okay, well, how much did it kill? We don't know. Okay, well then what the heck? Find out first, and then let's kind of measure the metric that way, right? How many people were injured and how many people aren't injured now? That's the success, not, oh, we found 80% of people were speeding and now, it's 70%. So it's a success. And we made $1 million. That's even better. Anyways, Rocca added that 25% of the drivers on that roadway were traveling 15 kilometers per hour over the speed limit before the cameras were installed. So people were going 65 instead of 50. Oh my. Next time you're in your car and you're not in a place with a speed camera, go 65 instead of 50 and see how much more unsafe you feel when you're going 65 instead of a 50. Just really gauge it. Really use your brain, and say, do I feel more unsafe right now going 65 rather than 50? Okay. Now he said it's just over 4% of drivers that are traveling that speed. All getting ticketed, by the way. So they get 4% of all drivers. As for concerns, the cameras are a cash grab, Rocca said. Who don't speed will have nothing to worry about. Love it. Love it. As for concerns with the cameras are a cash grab, just don't speed and you won't have to worry about it. Speed limits aren't optional. They are not discretionary. Those are black and white, he said. I wonder how many speeding tickets he's got in his life. I wonder what his paycheck is. I wonder how much money he makes. I think it's on the Sunshine List, right? So you can just check that out. And I wonder if he's in the same camp as anyone else. So, are people going to start going around putting GPSs on these guys' cars and posting it on social media? How much they're speeding in areas where there's no cameras? And they're saying things like this? I once got pulled over by a police officer because I was buying a car and I had to change the plates, but the plates were rusted on. Like I could not get the old plates off. And for some reason, he ran the plates and it wasn't registered or something. He got whatever. And I had the new plates right in my dash. I had the new plates right there, stickers and everything. Everything was ready to go. I just couldn't get the old plates off. Pulls me over and reads me the riot act. You're not supposed to be driving the car. The plates weren't changed, blah, blah, blah. I said, I got the plates right here. I couldn't get them off. I had to drive the car here to there. It's all insured and everything. I said, what, you've never broken a law in your life? You know what I mean? He said, no. Honest to goodness, this police officer said, he's never broken a law ever in his life. And I went, you gotta be kidding me. How could you even say such a thing? Everyone's broken at least one law in their life, even by accident. No, I have never broken a law. Whatever, I'm done talking to you at this point. You're not even human. Like you gotta talk like that. So again, bubble, not being able to relate to people, human beings. This is what ends up happening, right? They just lose sense of reality. Back to reality, citizens are the ones, and that's the problem with bureaucrats. They don't vote these guys in. This guy is here for life. He's making decisions like this, and they stay after the councillors come and go. So, yeah. So you listen to what they say, how they say it. Yeah, imagine that guy around the table, just talking about, just keep all the laws all the time and you won't have anything to worry about, I'm sure if he got into some trouble, he'd have some friends to bail him out. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure if something happened where he was in some hot water or whatever, and someone went up to him and said, hey, Joe, you broke the law, man. You gotta black and white. You gotta take it. And he'd go, yeah, but no, and call his friend up and, he'd probably get off with the network of people that he has in his network, obviously, right? Whereas most of us don't have that network. And so to say things like that brash to the citizens, it's totally a different class of people. You don't realize your privilege that you really have if you're going to utilize that language that we so want to use all the time. That's a very privileged way to speak against people that are very vulnerable and don't get paid the same as you, don't have the same network of friends as you, and are just basically 2-3 jobs to get by, racing from one job to another, and then having to just make sure they don't get a ticket when the city doesn't make it easy for people to get around in the first place. We don't have the easiest infrastructure of roads and whatever to get to one place to another. There's many traffic lights that slow us down automatically to begin with. You got speed bumps on half the roads and things coming out of the roads to slow people down, for goodness sakes. And this guy doesn't have to have another job, I'm sure. I'm sure this is the only job he has and he can support a family on it. And I'm sure he probably has a spouse who makes just as much money as him, if not more too. And, they got all kinds of things going for them. But the average person in Sudbury doesn't have that going for them. And so, yeah, I guess just the way we're being talked down to, it just shows again the kind of great and spacious building up on downtown that's hovering over everybody, and it's a big bubble that just, they all got their underground parking. They all got parking. They don't realize how hard it is to get a parking spot downtown. You go to pay a ticket, for crying out loud. You have no place to park to go down and pay your ticket. And then you get a ticket while you're paying your ticket, for goodness sakes. While you're going through a lot of people panhandling and lying on the streets and whatever, right? It's like interesting world. I don't know what world these people are living in. Yeah, that's that. But we're going to get a new arena, right? So looking forward to that. Let's see if we go down some of our stories. City Council takes another stab at building a new arena and events center. That's a Sudbury Star. That was, this morning at 2 a.m. writing the story. It was unanimous and monumental decision. Greater Sudbury is getting a new arena events center to be located downtown. This will be City Council's third attempt in 15 years to build a new facility. The city council had projects on the books when John Rodriguez was mayor, and more recently during Brian Bigger's 2 terms in office. In both cases, council backed off after costs soared. And now they're more than ever. And we're going to go ahead. Paul Mayor Lefebvre, however, was all smiles following the meeting Tuesday. He said, it's good to see Sudbury investing in itself. The decision to build the new event center aligns with City Council's vision for redevelopment of downtown South District. This is an important investment in our city's future, he said. Part of building a healthy and prosperous city means pursuing opportunities of growth, investment, and employment. Oh, I'm sure this arena is just going to employ millions of people. All right, making thoughtful investments in community infrastructure, specifically in the South District of downtown, will not just present a welcoming image for residents and visitors, but will send a confident message to businesses and investors. Last September, City Council directed staff to probe 2 options, to build new and to renovate the current barn. In addition to reviewing previous reports produced over the past several years, staff engaged two third-party experts to assist with the analysis. Based on the analysis of both options, staff concluded a new build would be the best option. The best opportunity to meet council's objectives with the least impact, the greatest opportunity for complementary investment, and the least risk during construction. This option directly provides capital investment that support community goals for downtown renewal, asset renewal, climate change, leadership, and economic development. The new event center will cost I wonder if they're going to build it with all electric machinery and all solar powered, so that way it doesn't make an impact on the environment. The new event center will cost an estimated $200 million. We'll see what the whole cost would be afterwards. I would say it's probably going to be $400 million. The city currently has $65 million set aside for the project. Those funds were secured in 2020 when the city borrowed $200 million for several large projects and some infrastructure work. In order to complete the project, which is expected to open for business on April 2028, the city will need to borrow an additional 135 million smackaroonios, which they'll probably make through speed cameras. This falls well within council's debt management policy and provincial limits on policy debt levels, the city said Tuesday. Annual debt repayment will, however, hover about $7 million annually, but Lefebvre said Tuesday staff have devised a plan to minimize the impact of the tax levy. Yeah, through speed cameras. All right, so that's your show today. We hope you enjoyed it. We enjoyed it, and thanks for being with us. We'll be back. Obviously, there'll be more to talk about on this subject. It's not going away. Giving us lots of things to talk about for the next, 4 years when this is slated to be done in 2028. All right, so that's your Sudbury News Talk for today. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow, God willing. Stay tuned for Earshot Daily now. Have a great and wonderful, safe day, everyone. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.